this is literal proof that you do not need to buy any new makeup just to get the same look as somebody else. I've been seeing this makeup look all over social media, and I'm not gonna lie, I am very tempted to buy the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette because of it. Now, in my last criticizing new makeup releases video, I talked about how similar it is to a lot of other palettes out there, specifically cool tone palettes, because it's become such a staple trend for 2024. And so in that moment, I was fairly confident that I was not gonna buy this palette. However, when I saw it in person, it was so much prettier in person. The textures were gorgeous, the shimmers were shimmering for me, and it wasn't fully a cool tone nude palette. It did have some warm tones in it, and there were some like more pinky, purpley mauve shimmers that I absolutely fell in love with. And when I saw the Huda Beauty campaign images, I was very underwhelmed. I looked back at it again because for a second I thought I was crazy. I've been seeing everyone use this palette and I'm like, do I just not have vision? Because I did not get this vibe at first, and I realized it's because I actually like the looks that other people are creating more. When I go back to the campaign images for this launch, it still wasn't giving to me. It didn't really fully show the gorgeous vibes of this palette. With that being said, I do not want to buy another palette. I still want to stand by what I said about not buying it and dupe this makeup look with things that I already own. Because at the end of the day, I'm not really lusting over the palette specifically. I still think there are some shades in there that are unnecessary that I wouldn't need. What I'm really lusting over is the Sugar Plum Fairy makeup look that I want to apply on myself. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, if you are new to this type of content, I'm not trying to tell you that these are exact dupes or cheaper alternatives to any new makeup releases. What I'm trying to do is encourage myself and encourage you to look within your makeup collection before you buy anything new. I personally love doing this because it gives me an opportunity to play and get to know my makeup, and most of the times it convinces me not to buy a product, and other times it makes me realize that I am missing something from my makeup collection that I would love to own, or I realize, okay, I already have something like this, maybe I'll wait until a sale to actually buy that other product that has maybe some nuanced differences. So sit back, grab a drink, grab your makeup, make a list of things that you are lusting over that might be new, and look through your makeup collection to see if there's something you already own that could give you that same look and vibe. So we are gonna start off with eye makeup first because that is the whole inspiration of this video. I am using the Nars primer just to set my eyes. This isn't gonna be too much of a tutorial. I don't know, y'all. You have been requesting me to do tutorials, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel super confident in my tutorial abilities, and I do need to have like a fairly better setup to give you quality tutorials. This is probably the closest thing you're gonna get to a tutorial until I figure it out, but I have it in the back of my mind. It's just not top priority yet. So if you have the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette, you do not need the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. Although these are fairly similar, again, there are going to be some small differences. This has enough of the shades to try to recreate that Sugar Plum Fairy vibe. And by the way, I have been obsessing over this palette lately because there have been so many cool toned looks that people are putting out. I've been really inspired to keep pulling this out over and over again. You've probably noticed in my videos, a lot of my cool tone makeup looks come from this palette. So I'm excited to be able to dive into it again and try to find new ways to use it. So this is the vibe that we're going for. I did one eye just to kind of get a feel of what to do, and I think I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a fan of the huge bright white under eye, but that's kind of like the fun of this makeup look. I don't usually love a bright white under eye. I love a really good smoky look, but we're experimenting. We're having fun. So I'm gonna do, or at least try to do, the same thing on the other eye. So going in with the shade Vague, and if you don't have the shade, you can go into your collection and look for a rosy neutral pink. Taking a blending brush, and I am going to apply it on the outer corners, but also like slightly above my crease because I have hood eyes. And we're just going to blend it and get that color on the eyes. I also like to blend it into here because it really adds to the drama of it all. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Honestly, doing eyeshadow on camera I find to be so difficult. Ta-da! That was actually fairly easy. Then I'm going to take a blending brush and we're going to use the shade Stone in this palette. This shade is like a lighter taupey gray. And I'm going to use this to blend out just the outer parts of the previous color that we applied. I'm going to make it a little bit smokier. Now we're going to go into the shade Muse, which is more of a medium dark gray. And this is going to be applied on our outer corners. This is going to add more of the depth to our eyeshadow. And then also kind of bring it in almost in the same area we applied the rosy pink shade, but slightly lower. Again, bring it in that way. And this is the shade Tender from the I Need a Nude palette. I also kind of layer on more towards the outer corner for that depth. Ta-da! If you only want to use one palette, you can go in with this beigey color called Fair. However, the Sugar Plum Fairy look calls for a very bright white inner corner. So if you have a bright white matte eyeshadow, that's what you're going to go for. I'm going to take the bright white matte shadow from the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette. I feel like I rarely get to use this shade, so I'm very excited to get use out of it. And this is the most important part of the makeup look. You're going to add it on the inner corner. So start piling on the lid, and this is a very pigmented white. It also has a decent amount of fallout. That's why I like to do eyeshadow before my foundation. And you might hate it at first if you're not used to this, because I'm not gonna lie, I hate it. But it's a very much trust the process moment, so keep going back in with the white. And now the even weirder part is applying it under the eyes for that very dramatic, bright, frosty inner corner. I also forgot to note, you want to make sure you prime in this area with your eyeshadow primer, or the white might be difficult to stick to because white tends to just like blend away. Going back into the I Need a Nude palette, taking the shade Silhouette, which is a dark, rich brown with kind of like purple undertones to it. And we are going to use this to line the eyes and create a very small wing. I really like this shade. I love how it's not like full on black, but it's still deep enough. You can also smudge it, make it a little smokier if you want. Ow. Okay, now we're gonna create that little wing, but the wing is actually gonna be blended out because I don't want this to be like a dramatic winged cat eye look. I'm just gonna line it like that for now and blend it later. Ta-da! Now I'm gonna go in with kind of like a lash line brush. This is the BK Beauty 204. It's a very short and stubby flat shader brush. And I'm gonna mix the shade Vague and Stone to line the bottom lash line. Taking a small blending brush, this is the Refer 13. Going back in with the shade Tender. We're going to repack on that color. Just add a lot more depth. And also this is kind of where you make sure the shape of how you want your eyeshadow to look is defined the way that you want it to. Okay, does that look good? When I don't do the eyes at the same time, I feel like they become uneven. Okay, not bad. And I just went back in with the Patrick Ta palette and I grabbed the white I used for my inner corners and I am going to apply it on top of the bottom shadows that we just applied. This is just going to still create that darkness, but also blend it in with the inner corner so they're not super separate from each other. Oh no, I'm making that weird face again, huh? Taking a pencil brush, this is the BK Beauty 210, going in with a very small dab of Silhouette mixed with Tender. We're going to just blend out that wing. And the shade Silhouette is just a dark cool tone brown, and Tender is more of a medium taupey gray. So those are the two shades I'm mixing to really define that inner corner. I'm also going to add a little bit more shape to the other eye. Then just try to take a clean brush. Just do any blending that you want to. Not too shabby. Going in with a silvery shimmer. This is called Mia. It has like silver glitters, but the base is more of a pale purplish pink. I'm going to apply this, just tapping it on the center of the lids. This is where we're going to concentrate it. You can layer as much as you want or as little as you want. I also like to apply it above where I have the crease shades on. Whatever's left over on my finger is then going to be applied to the inner corners of the lids. I just don't want too much on the inner corners of the lids because we want the center of the eye to be the most reflective. And just for some added pizzazz, I'm going in with the Bobbi Brown Luxe shadow in the shade Moonstone. Just a little bit of this, and I'm going to layer it because this has a little bit more reflect and larger shimmers. Ooh, that's pretty. I like. And then just to keep layering on the glitter, because I'm obsessed with glitter, I'm taking this Glow Shattered Glass Glitter. This is a K-beauty brand and it's in the shade Unknown. It has a mixture of larger glitters and smaller glitters. The trick with this is to make sure to apply in just highlighted areas of the eye. So again, in the center, going to just tap it out. I'm also gonna apply a little bit on the inner corner. I'm only applying a little bit, but we're being very strategic to where we apply the glitter. Then again, going back in with the shade Silhouette and relining the eyes just to make sure that darkness is there. Y'all, right now I have the song, what's it called? What Is This Feeling from Wicked stuck in my head. I haven't even seen the movie yet, but I'm so excited to see it. I have like a brief idea of the plot and the music. I've always wanted to see it on Broadway, but I never really had the opportunity, so I cannot wait to see it in the theaters and get a feeling of the entire story. It looks so freaking good, and the songs, 10 out of 10. I've been waiting for a really good musical for a while. I watched the Mean Girls musical and I hated it. It was not good to me. It bothered me a lot. Renee Rapp, whole nother story, but the rest of the movie, not a fan. Not a fan. I am a major Mean Girls fan. So off camera, I did apply on some lashes. I used my Ardell Naked Press-On lashes. I like to use the 12mm and 10mm on the outer corners of my eyes. These are the most like natural lashes for me. I think they add some volume without making me look crazy or like not like myself. If you have your eyes on a new mascara and you already have a mascara you love, you've been enjoying, you just want to try something new, this is your reminder that just keep using the thing that you love. Keep using the thing that you love until you run out of it or until it expires, and then buy the new mascara. I recently finished my L'Oreal Butterfly Mascara, which if you watch my videos, you know that that's my favorite mascara. However, I got a new one. Got a new girl in town. This is the Flower Nose Mascara. I don't know the name of this, but it's from the Butterfly collection. I got this in PR, and y'all, I'm shook, okay? First of all, packaging. Flower Nose kills it with the packaging. It's weighted. It's a really beautiful component. And on top of that, the formula, dare I say this is better than my L'Oreal Butterfly. They're very similar, and ironically enough, they're both butterfly mascaras. But I think what I like about the butterfly mascaras is that they separate the lashes, they add some length, maybe a little bit of volume, and that's what this one does, except it's stronger. It has a stronger curl hold. Now, it is difficult to take off, but I don't care because it looks really good. As you can tell, this is my eyes with just lashes, no mascara, and this is my eyes with mascara and lashes. I don't know if you can see the difference there. So we're gonna go ahead and just curl the other side. I don't normally try too many new mascaras, so I wouldn't have bought this mascara with my own money. I tend to have really low expectations because most mascaras hate me and hate my lashes, or my lashes hate every mascara I try. But this one has like a very slight curve to it, and it just combs them out without being clumpy, which I can't get over, and it's not a super wet or thick formula. So freaking good. I didn't know my lashes could look like that. If you are looking for something similar in your makeup collection, and let's say you have a lot of mascaras, what you're really looking for is just a mascara that separates and lengthens if you're trying to get this vibe. And then I think any kind of lashes would work for this. You could even cut up the lashes you already own and just put them on the edges of your eyes to give that like cat eye effect. This is gorgeous, y'all. Wow. I can't get over how this mascara makes my lashes look. She might be the winner for 2024. I completely forgot to prime my skin. I usually do that before I go in with eyeshadow, but today I'm going to be using the One Size Oil Sucker Primer. If you already have a primer that mattifies your skin like the Danessa Myricks or anything similar to that, or even just like a pore filling primer, you don't need another one. I recently got this at the Sephora sale, and I'm not gonna lie, I've really been enjoying it. The key is to use a very, very tiny amount, because if you do not, you will feel it on the skin. You should also let it set for up to like 3 minutes. And if you're someone who doesn't usually use or wear primer, you definitely do not need this. I think it does make a small difference on days that I need it, but it's not like an everyday. Especially if you don't like things that, you know, you have to let sit on the skin before you do the rest of your makeup. This is a product you'd likely want to avoid, because if you don't let it sit, it's not gonna make your foundation look good, but if you follow the directions, it does make a difference on your skin. I cannot get over this eye makeup look. I've had this palette for probably over a year now, and it's taken a year for me to really like get in the groove with it and kind of find new looks to do with it. I didn't even know I can achieve something like this, and that's why I personally like to follow a lot of content creators or influencers who do not just like tutorials, but just kind of show the looks that they're doing. I think it gives me a lot of inspiration to how I want to play with makeup, to try new looks and things like that, versus just only following influencers who talk about products. Because when I do go into my makeup collection and I'm like, okay, what look am I gonna go for? Instead of focusing on the products, I'm focusing on what I already own and how I can just recreate that same vibe. And this is spectacular. Something I'm noticing too is this palette isn't fully cool toned. I think the reason why the shades are flattering on my skin tone despite me being more like warm is that I find that the grays are more like mauvey, taupey, almost neutral, which I really like on the eyes. Now, if you have been eyeing any of the new foundations that have recently launched, like the One Size or the Huda Beauty, those have been raved about on and on again, and I'm sure they're great. I've swatched them in store and they look like they would be great foundations. But if you already have something similar, you probably don't need it. The way that I look at foundations is if it has the same finish or kind of performance, it's probably not that groundbreaking compared to what I already own. So the One Size foundation is full coverage, long lasting, and the Huda Beauty is soft matte finish, medium to full coverage. From what I recall, I could be completely wrong, but either way, I have a lot of those things. I have oily skin, so what I already own is very similar. Are they dupes? Probably not. I think for a lot of us who are obsessed with makeup and obsessed with beauty, we tend to really focus on the nuance of things, the nuance of formulas, textures, shades, but at the end of the day, if they have the same finish, it doesn't really matter and no one's really going to see a difference or know a difference except you. So today I'm going to be using the TIRTIR Mask Fit Red Cushion. This is in the shade 30 and Honey. This is slightly less, I don't want to say heavier, but like less matte than the pink version. And this product has really surprised me this year. It also might end up in my 2024 favorites. It just gives me the perfect amount of coverage, but it looks and feels like my skin. I could also layer it on, so if I don't want it to like look too makeup-y, I just do a thinner layer, and the shade match is pretty good. This is the side without the TIRTIR. This is the side with about 1.5 layers, and just look at that skin match. I feel like this really changed the game for me because I have always wanted to be able to use a cushion foundation, but I could never find it in my shade. If you know, you know. Most cushions come in like 3 shades, and they're all shades of white. I think something that I want to consider in the new year, or not consider, but really focus on, is kind of going by the thought or the mindset of doing without. Like, I can really like a product, but I could do without it. It can be different in terms of shade and formula, but I could do without it. I think that's something that I've noticed I've fallen in the trap of, is not being price conscious enough, hence my video about Patrick Ta's pricing, because I have awoken up from my grave of being able to just like overpay for things. I'm not saying I'm never paying for luxury high-end again. I'm just saying that I'm going to be even more conscious, extra mindful of when I spend money on overpriced makeup. But the other thing is also, I tend to fall into the trap, and I think a lot of us fall into the trap of just like getting obsessed with the nuance of things. Using the Patrick Ta eyeshadows, for example, they are beautiful eyeshadows. They perform well, right? Despite the price. Compared to some of the K-beauty or C-beauty eyeshadows I have, or even Natasha Denona, they're not the exact same formula at all. Like, one could say they're not dupes, they're just alternatives of each other. But if they give the same look but are slightly different, does that really matter? And that's the thing, we tend to kind of see that and convince ourselves that it's like, it's different enough where I'm gonna buy it. But the differences are so small. We're just using that as a way to like justify for ourselves, you know? Like Patrick Ta's formula, I've been able to find alternatives, but I can't lie. they're not the kind of slurry, dry formula. I've only really seen that in Pat McGrath and also the Day Seek palette and Bobbi Brown. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the formula. Like, you're the only one that sees the formula, right? But when you're wearing the makeup, the difference is so small that it doesn't really matter. That's kind of the wake-up call I've had, right? Is being more discerning, critical of how big or small the differences are. Again, not saying I'll never buy like repeat shades, not saying I'm never gonna buy expensive makeup ever again, just saying that I'm being more thoughtful and careful, and also learning how to actually do without, because even if you can't recreate the same exact look, you could probably create a similar look. Just like the Natasha Denona palette, look at this. It's not exact to the Icy Nude palette. The Icy Nude palette is a little bit more purple in some of the shades, or pink in some of the shades, but I still was able to create a gorgeous look from the I Need a Nude that's inspired by the Icy Nude palette, if you catch my drift. I'm using the Hourglass concealer. Concealer is another product that's like, once you find one that you like, that's it. You do have to sometimes, you know, go through products, buy products to finally figure out what you like. So that is going to cost you some money. However, once you find one you like and you're content with, I think when a new one comes out, we might be tempted because people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, this concealer is so good, when really it's just new. I have one too many concealers in my makeup collection, so I've told myself like I'm on a ban until I at least finish one or two. I kind of want to do like the one in, one out method with my concealers specifically. And so if you already have a concealer that you love, you don't need any of the new ones that launch. And if you're looking for some new ones and you haven't found anything you're happy with, then there's also nothing wrong with going out and buying one, two to figure out like what you actually like. I think I've had this Hourglass concealer for what feels like a year, maybe 2 years, and I'm just now getting close to finishing it, which makes me really happy. But I also have so many other concealers, and that all just came from doing a video reviewing a bunch of concealers. So if you want to see my thoughts on some of the more popular concealers, I will link it. But again, if I was not a content creator, I wouldn't have bought all those concealers. Now I'm stuck with them. I recently pulled this concealer out of the dead because I thought I was going to declutter it, but I changed my mind. It's the Armani Concealer in the shade 6. I didn't think this matched me at first, but it's just brighter than I'm used to. And what I'm going to do is mix it with the Huda Beauty color corrector. When I first had this concealer, I didn't have the color corrector, so I didn't think like I liked it. I liked the formula, but I didn't like the shade. Now that I have the color corrector, I can just really make it work for me. And that's the thing too, like you might end up with products you don't like. There's always a way to make it work. Should you have to make it work? Especially if it's, I don't know how much this is, $30, $40. No, you shouldn't have to make it work. But if you're already stuck with it, don't declutter it. See if there are ways to make it work for you, make it work in your favor where you actually love it and enjoy it, versus buying something new, especially if you can't return it. And after you've tried a million ways to use the product and you still hate it, then at least you know you did your best before going out to purchase another thing. Oh my gosh, wait, actually, why does my makeup look so good today? I'm going nowhere, but holy guacamole. I love makeup. I love makeup. Moments like this, I'm just so excited about makeup because I feel like I've hit this point where I actually feel like I'm good at makeup now. When I first started experimenting with makeup was during lockdown in 2020 because I had nothing better to do and I wasn't really working at the time for like, I don't know, maybe a couple months, a couple weeks. And so I started just playing with eyeshadow, even though I had nowhere to go. But I think that was the fun of it, was just like playing with eyeshadow and makeup as an art. And before that, I was always the person that would just do makeup just to look presentable. So I had my go-to foundation, my go-to mascara, go-to lip products. I was very much a makeup minimalist. But when we were in lockdown, I was trying to find something to do, something to experiment with, and makeup found me again. So I revived my love for makeup and beauty and just started like going crazy and playing with eyeshadow. And for a couple of years, I was really bad at it, in my opinion. I tried a bunch of different colors. I didn't like them. I have a lot of old pictures of me like playing and experimenting with eyeshadow specifically. I also had another channel that I tried to make beauty videos on, but I just wasn't confident in like my makeup skill set and my knowledge on makeup. But after honestly, so many years, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and it's so much more fun this way. So if you're just starting off with makeup, do not be discouraged. The point is to have fun, learn, and grow. You don't have to take it so seriously, especially if you're not just playing with makeup to look presentable, you're playing with makeup for the fun of it. I digged into my makeup collection and I'm going back to the Rare Beauty, what is these called? Bronzer sticks. So I don't know, have there been any new bronzers that have launched? I don't think so. Use what you have. I don't really need to compare this to anything else, I guess. I know this is like a weird way of like contouring and bronzing my face, but I'm trying something new and I kind of like this vibe, I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to use it as like a contour. I've just been like contouring like this. I know for Asian faces it's recommended a contour like this, but I haven't mastered that yet. So especially in terms of shade, trying to find the perfect shade that's not gonna look muddy on me. So now I just kind of do it like this and then I go in with bronzer. I don't know if it's gonna be a permanent strategy I'm gonna use, but I don't think it looks bad. And if it does, don't tell me because you're gonna hurt my feelings, okay? My forehead is a whole different color than the rest of my skin, so we're gonna use the shade Good Energy and apply it on the forehead. I know some viral bronzers are the Say bronzer, the Makeup by Mario bronzer, any of those. If you already have a cream bronzer, just use that. I'm telling you, the differences are so small. The biggest thing with bronzer is not even the formula, but it's the shade. If you have the right shade for your skin tone, you're not gonna wanna like branch out. And if you do, I would encourage you to consider how different bronzers really are from each other. Like the formula is going to be different, but all you're really doing is creating that warmth to the face. So all you really need is like one color that's going to work well on your skin tone. Again, just like the concealer, because I've been trying a lot of different bronzers, I've accumulated more bronzers than I want or need, and I can't seem to get rid of them because they're all good. They're all good in their own way, especially powder bronzers. They have very small differences, but they all give me the same look, and I like them all, so it's really hard to just like decide what to get rid of and also to justify buying new bronzers because I'm just gonna use what I have at this point. Maybe next summer more bronzers will come out and I'll break my own rule, but for a while I've just told myself no more bronzers because you have enough and I have bronzers that I love. For example, for powder bronzer, I've really been obsessing over the Haus Labs powder bronzer, but I also have the Victoria Beckham bronzer that I love, the Gucci bronzer that I love, the Fenty bronzer that I love. So I just kind of interchange between all of them, and the idea of just adding more to it overwhelms me. I have enough in my rotation. I'm just gonna apply this. I have no idea what's happening with this. They don't sell it at Sephora anymore, and that scares me because it is such a good bronzer. It's one of my like highly recommended bronzers, and Sephora is just a more accessible place to get makeup. You can get this on their website still, so it's not gone yet, but in terms of getting it at Sephora, it's not there anymore, and I want to know why. In conclusion, if you already have a bronzer that is the right shade for you, isn't patchy on your skin, fairly easy to use, you don't need a new one. No matter what someone says, no matter how good someone says, I don't care. For example, if I was sitting here like, this is the best bronzer I have ever tried. You need this bronzer. Nothing compares to this. Don't listen to them because it's not going to be life-changing, I promise you. Especially if they're a different skin tone than you. Not every bronzer range is made the same. Just like bronzer, if you already have a liquid blush you already love in the shade that you like, or even not even a liquid blush, if you have a powder blush or even cream blush in a shade that you love and reach for every single day, you don't need another one. For me, I have really been enjoying the Caliray Blurry blushes. Not gonna lie though, blushes are my weakness. I have not banned myself from buying any blushes because they're my weakness. I'm not sure why. I think it's kind of like maybe 2016 era where highlighters were everyone's weakness. Now blush is that era. So completely understandable, especially from someone like me. I'm mixing the two shades, the cool tone pink shade and the peachy shade, because I feel like I want a cool tone blush. However, paper, it doesn't look the best on me. I feel like Cool Tone looks really good with the eyes, but I do need some more warmth to my skin. And if you have been eyeing the Caliray blushes, I'm telling you, if you already have like a powder blush you really like, this is beautiful and it has longevity to it, but again, not life-changing. It's something you can wait to buy. There are sales every single year. Another popular viral blush that I see everywhere is the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop blushes. I did not like his skin enhancing bronzer. I think it's in the same formula. I'm sure that if you're interested in those, you already have enough of those kind of things. So I'm sure you could probably dupe it in your own collection. You already have a dewy setting spray that melts your makeup together like the MAC Fix Plus or the Milani setting spray. You probably don't need the Charlotte Tilbury one, and vice versa. Moving on to powder. Powder is another one of those items, just like foundation. It's like if you already have your staple powder, stick to the staple powder, because I feel like powders are significantly different, especially for oily skin. Like I very much notice when a powder isn't working on me, but I have loved my One Size powder for I feel like a year now, and it's safe to say this is my favorite, most reliable powder. During the Sephora sale, I was actually influenced by my mom to buy the Makeup by Mario setting powder, and honestly other people kept raving about it, where I tapped into that curiosity even though I didn't need another powder. And I have to say, it is a gorgeous powder, okay? But if you already have One Size, you have oily skin like me, I'm telling you, that Makeup by Mario powder is no better than the One Size. What I like about it as an option is that it's talc free and it's a lighter powder for the skin. So for more like everyday wear, I would choose the Makeup by Mario powder, but for on camera wear or long wear, my oily skin needs the One Size powder. So I'm just going to dab this on the back of my hand. Another thing I was influenced by from my mom is a Sephora puff. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, it's not that good. I washed this and I don't know if I was too rough with it or something, but I thought it was going to be a thicker material. It's not a thicker material. It kind of just feels like the ones that I already get in packs on Amazon. So I don't find that this little puff is game changing at all. I mean, it's nice, it works. There's really nothing super crazy unique about it, but I've had other puffs and this doesn't feel any higher quality than the puffs I already get. Y'all, just look at that powder. Shook. I don't know why I'm shook every time, but the One Size powder is the best powder I've ever tried for my skin. And after many hours, especially with the TIRTIR cushion, this combination of complexion product, oh my gosh. I've worn these through like 8-hour days with like humid weather, and my skin still looks the way that it looks when I first put on the makeup. Maybe slightly oilier because I have oily skin, but nothing like if I didn't use the complexion products together. Again, we use the One Size oil sucker paired with the TIRTIR cushion, which is transfer proof and long lasting, paired with the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, paired with the One Size powder. And this is my all day long lasting full beat makeup combo that I swear by. And I'm sure you've already discovered your full beat go-to makeup combo. If you ever have a good thing, why change it? And even if you want to change it up a little bit, there are ways that you can have fun and experiment with makeup without having to buy new things. Okay, just to add a little bit more blush, I'm using the MAC, what is this called? Mineralized blush in the shade Humour Me. I like this blush because it's more natural. It does lean warm, but it's not too vibrant on the cheeks, and I feel like the eyes are pretty vibrant. So I'm just going to add it on the cheekbones like so. Wait, stop. I completely forgot I wasn't going to use this blush. Let's even it out first. Oh no, I'm sad now. This was not the original plan. It looks good, don't get me wrong. Let me see if I can powder it up. Because what I wanted to do actually is use the eyeshadow and the I Need a Nude palette. I wanted to show you how you could like do a cohesive look. Sometimes when you're doing like, or when I'm doing full glam makeup looks, I have a really hard time finding blush that is cohesive, that I really like all together with my eye makeup. So what I've been doing is using any kind of pinky color that I might have used on the eyes, or I just use my blush on the eyes, like on the crease. In this scenario, we already have kind of a rosy color on the eyes, so I'm just going to transfer that to the cheeks. And I'm going to mix the shade Wit and Vague. These are pigmented, so you want to make sure to kind of tap off that excess. And unfortunately, you're not going to get the same exact vibe if I didn't put blush underneath. but I just wanted to show you. Real pretty. I like it. And then to just kind of like make it tie together even more, I'm gonna go in with the shade Wit and Vague again and just add a little bit more on the edges of the eyeshadow. And now my cheeks and my eye makeup is cohesive. And on top of that, you get more use out of the eyeshadows that you have. And you know how long it takes to finish an eyeshadow. I discovered this yesterday when I was playing around with this palette, and the shade Vague and Wit make perfect blush colors. I'm definitely going to be reaching back into this in the future just to use those eyeshadows as blush. So if you already have a pink eyeshadow that you're wearing on your eyes, or just a pink eyeshadow in general, let's say you're not wearing eye makeup, you don't need another blush. Coming from a blush lover myself, I know it's hard. It's really hard. I'm actually going to go in with the Flower Nose. This is a blush duo, the Butterfly Cloud Color Blush Duo in the shade Pastel Lotus. Look at this packaging, so freaking pretty. Now, these blushes from Flower Nose are sometimes slightly too light for my skin tone, so I'm going to show you how I kind of make it work for me. For really light blushes, I have been using this really light pink right here as like a brightener under my eyes. I have no words. I have no words. I think, again, you can always find use out of something. So if you already have a really light pink blush that might be too pale for your skin tone, you could take that color and try to apply it under your eyes as a brightening powder. Now, a viral lip combo I've been seeing with the Sugar Plum Fairy look is just a dark brown liner with a pale pink gloss or lipstick. Specifically, the combination of the Cork MAC lip liner and the MAC, I think it's blankety lipstick, or just anything from MAC really. I was tempted during Black Friday to buy that lip combo, but I decided against it because I already have something similar. If you already have a neutral brown lip liner, this is Foxy Brown from Charlotte Tilbury, and a nudie lipstick, this is the Makeup by Mario in the shade Flat Iron. It's more like a peachy nude, and a pale pink gloss. This is the Buxom Plumping Lip Cream in the shade Peppermint Hot Cocoa. I'm pretty sure this is discontinued, but just find a pink gloss. Then you do not need that lip combo because you already have it. Bangs are out. I don't know if they look the way that I want them to look, but they're extra curly today, and I kind of think they fit that Sugar Plum Fairy vibe, so I'm not mad. By the way, if you have bangs, let me know if you have like tips and tricks to really get them to stay. My hair, every word sounds weird today. My hair is naturally straight, flat, and so I have a hard time sometimes with my bangs. Like, they look really good right now, but after a few hours or in humid weather, the bangs do not stay. So if you have any tips to get them to stay curly like this, let me know in the comments below. But this is literal proof that you do not need to buy any new makeup just to get the same look as somebody else. I know that is kind of obvious, you know, we buy makeup so that we can use the makeup, but I think sometimes we forget when we're watching videos where people are pushing out product, or even just videos of someone using a product can influence you to buy something. You might see someone do a tutorial where they're using a specific eyeshadow and it's glitzy and multi-chrome, so you might naturally feel influenced to want to buy that same product to get the look. But I highly recommend, before you purchase anything, to dig through your collection and try to see if you can dupe the vibes. Remember that it doesn't have to be exact. It might actually turn out better. And another tip I have is to think beyond what the product does. So for example, if you see someone doing like a pink eyeshadow makeup look, but you don't own any pink eyeshadow because you don't really wear colorful eyeshadow, look through your blushes. If this video did provide you a little bit of inspiration, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to my channel, and as always, I'll catch you on the flip side. Happy holidays! Bye!